Hello, Anita.
Hi, good afternoon, Lucas.
Hi. I think it's going to be a really interesting interview today about a unique topic, totally unique topic. Um, but I'm wondering, can you just give, like, for those who don't know you, can you just give us a short introduction of who you are and what the interview is going to be about?
Yes, of course, no problem. So, my name is Anita Kucserová. I'm a tango dancer, and in my free time, I'm doing documentaries. I just finished a documentary about tango addictions called Addictango. So, I hope we will be talking about my movie in this interview.
Yes, and you have also been screening this documentary a few times. And I believe you can also like people can contact you if you want to if they want to talk about a screening. So I can put some contact information in the video description if people after watching this, if they're interested in seeing the movie or hosting the movie on an event during an event, something like that. Um, so let me just start right from the beginning. So let's just begin with how did you come up with the idea of making a documentary like this?
Uh, so this is my second documentary. When I was finishing the first one, I already knew I want to do something about tango because tango is my big passion. And I also love documentary making, and I wanted to combine my two big passions. And so I was thinking like, how would I frame it? What about tango? I wanted to then I realized like what I really wanted to show is the experience of tango, like showing how it feels to dance. And then I immediately came to tango to addiction. The I realized like people are so passionate about it that it's nearly an addiction. It's not only a passion. And yeah, so then when I started to research this topic, I realized like I really can show what is this experience about, because it not only shows the good sides but also the less nice sides, the less positive sides. So that was really a very good, for me personally, a very good frame to show the experience of tango.
Yes, and sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, how it feels to dance and to be in this world.
Yes, and you also made it not only for tango audiences, right?
Yeah, exactly. Indeed. So it is, of course, for both. I think for tango audience, it's interesting to see like what they experience. So it's something very familiar. But the idea was to show the experience to a non-tango audience, so they can kind of experience the dance without dancing it.
Yes, and it seems like it's universal in a way because if it's only about tango, like if you make a documentary about tango history or the history of the dance, that's probably only interesting to people who are into tango. But this is more like it's also almost sociological, right? It's about like what these kind of activities, what they can do with people in both good and bad ways, I guess.
Indeed, it's really about the human experience. So for me, every human experience is interesting. Uh, Maybe interesting to say, like I'm an anthropologist, so I like to research or look, observe the human experience and then what is behind such experience. So that's why this is also interesting for me to, uh, yeah, the tango as a human experience. And then indeed, it is not only then relevant just for the tango audience, but then in a much broader sense.
Yes, sorry, this is a bit of a specific, oddly specific question, maybe, but did you actually receive like interesting comments by people who watched your documentary and who weren't tango dancers?
Yeah, yeah, actually, many. They were, yeah, for example, one, and he was a colleague of mine. He watched it, and he's a Brazilian, and he said, like, "Oh, for us, actually, tango is something we should not like." And he was saying like immediately from the first moment he was in the bubble, he really understood, like it was very nice to experience it. So I received lots of positive feedback from non-tango dancers too. And yeah, this was just one example, but also other examples. Yes.
Yes, and let's talk a bit about anthropology, because this is something I discussed with you previously when we were preparing this. I have an idea, or I think a lot of people think that anthropology is about going to the jungle and documenting tribes that have never had contacts with the main civilization, so to say, before. But after hearing about your background and how you did this, and of course, I also watched the documentary in Amsterdam when it was screened. I really found out that from you that anthropology is much more than just that kind of research. So can you maybe, I think it's for this interview, it will be really important to understand where you are coming from, what your background is.
Yeah. So indeed, anthropology started off with these adventurers going to faraway tribes and researching them. But nowadays, we can research as anthropologists, cultural anthropologists, any culture. So it can be any subculture, wherever it is far or close to us. So, and of course, as an anthropologist, we first research our own culture. So to be able to understand another culture, we also first need to know how our culture made us, what kind of influence and impact it had on us. So we first kind of self-reflect to be able to study other cultures. And nowadays cultural anthropology can be applied to any setting, and it's really like the shortly said, like it's a research from within, like to give a perspective from within the community. So how people experience certain things, or what are the notions or opinions from within the community. So that's in very general sense what is anthropology.
So that applies to documentary making for you.
Yeah, for me, like immediately as I started to make documentaries, I realized like for me it's an anthropological research. I applied all the skills, research skills, what I was doing in anthropology, also for documentary making. And indeed, it's showing. So instead of writing a paper, I'm now making a visual product, a movie, but it's again showing from within a certain feeling, experience, opinion. So yeah, for me, it's very much anthropological research.
So what are some examples of these skills that you have as a social anthropologist?
So, for example, doing interviews, it's really the same as doing interviews for a documentary. So, interviewing skills, what kind of questions to ask. So, for example, that was one. Also, how to afterwards analyze the interviews and the big number of interviews. So, when you have multiple respondents, so that you are giving categories to certain questions and answers, that you're grouping them. And also how you, I think also more importantly, also the attitude, how you put yourself up, how you start to study. So it's kind of, yeah, you are doing a research, but still you kind of need to be clean and receptive to any kind of new input, the input of the and opinions of your respondent, and you have to be non-judgmental about them at all.
Yes. I guess my last question about this section is like you really talk about anthropology as being able to look at something from the perspective of someone who's in that culture. Is that right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So how does that apply to tango? So just before we talk about tango addiction and the documentary, how does that apply to tango? Well, I guess you are already in the culture, so maybe then it's easier. But
Yeah, indeed. So I'm already in the tango world. So but of course, for example, these skills like these observations, you are not turning it off. Like once you are already used to observing people and researching and looking like what are the patterns, and then you do it sometimes even without any purpose or without any objective. So I was already doing this kind of research, anthropological research, even before I started to do the documentary. It was something just that I'm always interested in, that I always do.
So you've always like thought about you've been philosophizing about some things about how tango people behave, or
yeah, and it's not only for tango people. It's in most of the settings, indeed, I do that. Yeah.
Yes. So do you think there's anything left you should tell people before we proceed with the documentary, that anything that's important about your field, anything else that's
No, not that what I can think of now. Now I think
okay. So in summary, you have a background that really enabled you because you have certain skills, you have experience, a background that enables you to really look at tango from almost like an objective way, just showing how it can be for these people who are experiencing it. And then you came up with the topic of addiction because that's what you thought was so striking about what happens in tango, right? Because these people are so obsessed, passionate, or like whatever way you want to call it.
Yes. And it also can be because of me and my personal experience. Lots of my friends were saying after I started dancing tango, like, "Oh, Anita, you're so addicted to it." And then when I compared myself in the tango world, I realized, like, oh my God, I'm not addicted at all. Like they're comparing to other dancers in the tango world, I'm somewhere just like in the middle, or not even the average. I'm below average. Like most people are much more addicted than me. And then that made me actually start thinking about addiction. And and then from there it was going further and further.
So that's essentially where the documentary came from, that you observed that other people were addicted or maybe just passionate. What was it?
Yeah, so I wanted to show the experience of tango, and so how people experience it, how people what kind of human experience is this dance. So, and then I realized, like, okay, maybe framing it as an addiction, it can be really interesting because it also shows the hidden sides of this dance, not only what is on the surface or what we immediately see, like the beautiful, the nice, but also the other factors, the hidden ones, but also what pushes people to dance. So it's not only what it gives them, but also why do they go for it? Why do they look for it? Why do they search for this dance? So it gave me a perspective to go much deeper into the subject, into this dance experience of this dance.
Yes, and did you ever consider making this documentary about yourself, or were you really interested in looking at other people's addiction?
Yeah, it was immediately other people's addiction. Now, I did not want to make it about myself. It's not a biography. And also, I was choosing people that I don't know so well. So I knew them, but not not well personally. There needed to be also a certain detachment from the respondents that I had, from my protagonist. Of course, during filming, I started to know them more and more, and now I really feel that they are my friends. But it was not like that before we started filming.
Yeah, I like it because it sounds like you really did it in a very professional way, like making this documentary, because essentially anyone with a camera can make a documentary, but that's not necessarily what a professional documentary looks like. And there's so much more to it than just having a camera and just filming something. Like it feels like there was like a lot of thought actually went into making this preparation. And I mean, I like that a lot because it's like I said, I mean, I don't want to it's not that I think it's bad that anyone can make a video, because I also make videos, but actually making a documentary is a lot of work, and people will find out how much work it was later, because I know some things about it that we haven't discussed yet, and what an incredible amount of effort you put into making this ultimately. So we'll talk about that. But sorry, it's just really interesting how yeah, how you really thought about these things. Like, I need protagonists that I don't know really well, because otherwise, like, there needs to be some distance. Like, I think that's really solid.
Yeah, and the preparation, like I prepared a year. The preparation before we even started filming took a year. So of course, I worked so it's not like full time here. I had my job, and I was also still finalizing my first documentary, but already reading any articles that I could find on tango, on addiction, on behavioral addiction. I was reading, so then observing more people in the tango world, writing notes. So yeah, I already for a year I was doing like a really very active preparation.
Yes. So just going back to the beginning, so you decided that you wanted to make a documentary about tango addiction, right?
Yes.
So what were the steps you took to get it going?
Yeah. So indeed, then I started to read a lot. So what I was saying, I read
Yes.
everything what was there. Books, articles. Also, I started to read a lot of Facebook comments or thoughts of tango dancers on tango. Just also that also gave me an additional flavor, so that was also nice. So I was reading not only academic, but I was also observing how people behave, do, think about tango. Yeah, and then the next step was trying to find my protagonists, like who I could film. So we did a couple of interviews with more people. First, we were thinking like maybe have more protagonists, but then I chose for these three that are there in the movie now.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that it was really a choice of the three of them. So I think they really fit together. They complete each other with the motivation, what they are looking for, what they need in tango, so what they are searching there. So they really fit, the three of them, well together. So that's why I made this choice.
And that's essentially what the documentary is about.
Yes, about their perception and their experience of tango, what they are what they are searching in tango. Yeah, this is the movie about. Yes.
And is that then representative? Is it meant to be representative of what tango addiction is about?
So for me, I didn't want to give a definition or a representation of tango addiction. It was more to show the experience. So showing the experience, like, okay, you find different perspectives, different perceptions of it, like different sides of it. But it doesn't need to be like, okay, this is all
okay. That's good.
all representative. Yeah. I do think at the end that it is quite representative, but I'm not claiming that it is all representative. Yeah.
So does that mean that you want people to kind of understand what it's about, not by telling them what it is, but just seeing it through how the movie turns out?
Yes, exactly.
That's essentially the storyline, I guess.
Yes, exactly. So it's more like feeling it, seeing it, experiencing it through the dance, but through the movie, through the dancing experience of the dancers. But now I don't need them to know, like, Monica, one of the protagonists, she is like this type, or seeing it's that type, of Dorina is that type. No, that was not my aim. I think this is more, also it's more subconscious, like people will know or feel it without even consciously knowing what is it. They will feel the difference, they see the difference. Maybe some will say it consciously more, some more unconsciously, but the difference is there.
Okay. And that is essentially also what anthropology is about then. Like if you look at your documentary, like how it turned out, then it follows like.
No, so in anthropology, of course, you're more conclusive. So you would you would draw more conclusions. You also more theories, like of course still. But it is true that also in anthropology, it's very much like this is showing that this is an opinion of a certain person with a certain background. So the background of the person who is doing the research in anthropology is always very important. So, and that's also a very prominent in any articles, anthropological articles, books, like who did the research.
Yeah, so this is more your style than necessarily like anthropology style.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, this is just how you chose to do it, and maybe it reflects who you are and your character.
Yeah, I think it's not only just my academic background, but indeed it's also my character, my experience, my interest. Yes.
Yeah, so the reason why I asked you about this preparation, and then you repeated something that you already said about doing the research and everything, but there's one thing I want to know. So you were talking about we. So is that like, were there other people on the team?
Yes. So I did it with my friend who did the camera work. It's Rodolfo Weyer.
Okay.
So the two of us, sometimes also two of us, we did the decisions. Or he helped me lots of times making decisions when I didn't know. So it was also good to have someone to discuss things, and he was also like very much involved in actually throughout everything, the whole process.
Yes.
of the documentary making. So yeah, we did it together.
Yes, so it's good to have mentioned him, and I guess just the camera, the filming itself is already quite a lot of work as well.
Yeah, indeed, yes, and he did really a very good job. Yes, I'm very happy of the cinematography in the movie. Yeah.
Yes. So let me just get back. I think that would be a good discussion. So you research what addiction is, and everybody kind of knows that tango is addictive, just like some other things in life are addictive. But let's add some science to it. So what is like what can you say about all this preparation you did, the research you did? What can you say about like a tango addiction in like what can we establish scientifically?
uh, yeah, so actually from all this literature that I read, scientific literature, I made a small diagram. So I really adapted it to tango. Like I'm a very visual person, so for me this kind of diagrams always help. So I have one here. So this is the tango addiction, how I see, and then it has from here there are the push factors, from down there are pull factors. This is from psychology, and this is what in psychology how they describe behavioral addiction. So pull factors is something that it's attractive in a certain activity. So what you find pleasant. So for example, in tango, it would be the experience of beauty. So the connection, the embrace, the dance, the music, the emotional intensity that you have, the meditative state that you can get into, the passion that you feel, the physical contact that you have with the partner. So all these are the attractive sides of tango. And then you have so these are the pull factors, and then you have the push factors. The push factors are what pushes you from life to tango. So that will be of course, combination of factors, but it will be for everyone different. So pull factors are, of course, for nearly everyone the same, but of course, like one will enjoy, I don't know, the music more maybe than the embrace, something like that. But push factors are really very different. So it can be that you are looking for to fill in a gap in your life, or you're looking for a creative outlet to enhance your identity, or the social part, so that pushes you, that you want to belong to something, belonging. So all these kind of things are then the push factors. And then in the middle, I have the negative experiences and the unpredictability of it, because something to be addictive, it should not be always just good. It should be more unpredictable. So it needs to have also the negative sides, and then it becomes even more attractive. They say like roulette wouldn't be so obsessive if you always knew that you will win, because you don't know if you win. The unpredictability of it, that makes it so addictive. So, and this is also something with tango, you never know if the dance with that person will be good or bad, or really very good, or even the whole evening. Sometimes the whole evening can be horrible. Sometimes the whole evening can be really amazing. So it's really always very unpredictable, tango.
Does that actually make it unhealthy to some extent? Or like, I mean, everybody knows that taking drugs isn't healthy, but
I wouldn't say that it's healthy or unhealthy. I think definitely it's good. It's healthy to move and to have have some physical activity. It's also very healthy to have physical contact, to socialize, to dance. But yeah, sometimes it also can be unhealthy if you do it too long. So I'm not drawing conclusion if it's healthy or unhealthy. I think it's just something what is there.
Yes, but tango can be a bit of a harsh environment in a sense if you are not getting what you want. For example, if you're having, like you said, a horrible night. I mean, that happens to all of us.
Yeah.
I'm always kind of wondering if it's just better to stay at home and read books, but it's just it's a bit hard to make claims about this. But I'm just wondering, have you ever thought about that?
No, but then you go out the next time and you have one of the best nights ever. So
okay.
Yeah, you never know. You never know how it will turn out. Or sometimes even like the night can start really bad, and then you get this wonderful dance, and you're like, feeling total bliss, and you go home very happy. So I think that's in tango, that it's so unpredictable. And it really can change like this very fast from one moment to the other.
But
So
I'm not sure how to word this, but but is there some danger maybe about tango addiction? Like, addiction is usually a negative word. I'm not sure if you understand what I'm hinting at, but it's
now I do understand, because immediately when you put a stamp on it, like it's an addiction, then it should be also bad for you. It should have a bad negative effect on you. But for me, like putting this stamp of tango addiction, it was more only like a tool to make the documentary. I'm not sure really how far is this an addiction. Like, this can be debated, and for sure some people are really addicted, but it's not on me to make this diagnosis. For me, it was really just a tool to frame the documentary. So I'm not saying that these people are really addicted, or that they need to go to a rehabilitation center and and kick off from their addiction. It was really more just really to show this experience as an addiction. So it was more like
you show how intense it is, right?
Exactly. It was more just like a thought experience or experiment. So I started out like, if this would hold, and I realized like, actually framing it as an addiction is really very good for the documentary. It's interesting, but I'm not claiming that it is really like, I'm leaving it out for everyone to decide for themselves.
Yes. And that's pretty much also what the documentary does in general. So it doesn't judge. It just tries to show what happens. And then every individual viewer can look at it their own way and look at it more positively or more negatively. But I mean, in a sense, it's a good thing that people are passionate about something. I mean, I've seen the documentary, so some people who are listening may have not seen it, but the things you get to see about these people can be very very personal and very special, and I think there's some really interesting stories in there, and you just tell them by showing. So you're not the narrator. You're not saying like, Mr. A had a bad night, but he's trying again tomorrow. Like, that's not what you're doing. Like, you're just showing him doing what he's doing, like in his natural environment. It's almost like a nature documentary or something. It's just the tango addict going by its day or its night in the like the habitat that it likes the most. So it's anyway. I think Is there anything else you want to say about tango and addiction, or do you think we covered everything?
Yeah, I think I think we covered it. As I say, like, just one more, like, that's why I'm not putting any negativity on it, on the dance. So for me, it, I wish more people do it and more people know how beautiful this experience is. Yes.
So maybe that's something I wrote down earlier. You have one male protagonist and two female protagonists, right? That's
Yes.
the three protagonists.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering, have you found that tango, like it's a very general, broad conclusion, so maybe you don't want to comment on it, but I'm just interested in myself. Like, have you seen any difference by sex? So are women more addicted to tango than men? Or is it not really like, is it just depends on her character or like?
Yeah, it was. Now I'm not drawing these conclusions that women are more addicted to tango than men. I think, I think, as I say, for me, it's also like the addiction. It's a strong conclusion. I think both can be very passionate about, and I saw both women and men really very passionate, very, very dedicated, very committed to tango, wanting to learn, wanting to improve more and more. With the protagonists, it was really just a coincidence, as I said, um, that there are two women and one man. I was also first thinking to have two men and two women, but I find that maybe four, it would have been too much for my movie. And as I said, like, once I had the three of them, like, these are my three protagonists that I want to focus, that I would like to have on my documentary. I really realized, like, okay, they really fit well, and I don't need anyone else. A fourth person would be just to balance out the gender, which I did not see that it was really necessary. It would not give a movie, it would take from the movie, from the story.
Sure.
More. Yeah.
So talking about those protagonists, so let's talk a bit more about how you found them.
So I interviewed more people in the tango here in Amsterdam, in the tango scene, and in the Netherlands. And so from them, and yeah, at that point, I still did not know, like, okay, how many protagonists I want to have in my movie. It was still very much unclear. But once I find them, the three that I have now, I was really very happy, and I really realized, like, all three are very different. They were immediately very open during the interview. Really said, yeah, we had a nice connection also during making the interviews. They were nice with the camera, so they were just very, very natural, very open, and also what was important, that they were quite different from each other. Think first didn't want to do it. He actually also, for the first interview, he didn't want to do, so I really had to persuade him. I was like, okay, let's try. And then he was like, okay, let's try, but I just try and nothing else. But at the end, what's funny, he accepted to be in the movie, and then we even traveled with him. For him, he didn't even know when he wakes up, then the camera is already there on his face, so he didn't even knew how it happened, and he was already in the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's something we should discuss later, like how you followed the protagonists around. Let me first focus on, like, maybe we talked about this a bit already, like having a script, like a plan. Like I believe that there wasn't really like a clear storyline that you wanted to, but how did you?
Yes, so yeah, indeed. So what I was already showing, like from these blocks of addiction. So from these, what I made. So these are the blocks of addiction. So I knew this. I want to show it. I don't want to say it. I want to show it. So I was looking for how can I show it? What kind of with what kind of stories, what kind of images I can show it. So, for example, that the tango is an experience of beauty, then how do I show this? Or that for someone it's something to enhance the identity, or like it's or it's the unpredictability. So all these kind of things, I was already thinking like, okay, what kind of situations, what kind of yeah, how can I show this? So that was one part of the script, and then second was of course that you start out with three protagonists, and then you hope that something changes in their lives, because if you only show something, then it's not interesting. It's nice if there is some kind of if something happens during the movie. So I really hope that there will be some change. So the idea was also that we would follow them for a year to like within a longer period, so that there's something changes, and then we can show the change. And then, yeah, we were lucky enough that indeed the change happened, but we didn't know what kind of change there will be. So, and also to whom it will happen. So that was all, life happens. So with these kind of things in documentaries, you have ideas like what you want to film and what you need to focus, but you don't know what you will get. So actually the script you do after the filming, after you already know what happened, what you filmed. So that's why with documentary making, the editing is very much it's the biggest biggest chunk of the work. So with feature films, you already know how you will put it together, but with documentary, you really don't know, because then you only have all the material, all the changes that happen, everything unexpected that happened that you could not envision, and then you start putting all these things together and you start to make a storyline from it.
Yes, but you did interview people about certain topics, I would suppose. Like you sit down with them and
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, indeed. Like that you know, like, okay, certain situations, certain topics you want to cover. Also, a couple of times, like certain topics you would cover even a couple of times, because every time there would be a different answer. But yeah, lots of things you don't know. So you have to very well plan and also be open to lots of unpredictability.
chaos. Yeah, sounds like
Yeah, so it's very paradoxical. So
Okay.
it's both. It's of course before every filming, I would plan. I would have a list of things that I want to shoot, a list of topics that I want to talk about. But if something happens, then you have to be really open to it, and all the planning sometimes goes out of the window.
So I've seen the documentary and I know that it's not just people being interviewed in a chair. Like there's a lot of filming of them being at milongas or even at a marathon in Portugal. So how did you do that part?
Yeah, so we follow them, of course, to milongas, and yeah, to show to really show the experience. So you need to be there with the camera, like otherwise it's not very interesting, just the talking. We were lucky enough that we did crowdfunding, and we could collect enough money that we could cover all these costs for traveling. So we went with them to Portugal, to Bratislava, and we also traveled here in the Netherlands to different cities to milongas or classes. So yeah, you really need to follow them, like what they do, what they really like to in combination with tango, but also in their daily life. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
so it's also showing them in their daily life, also at home. We film with each of them in their home. So that was also nice of them, that they were confident enough, and they also were happy enough to let the camera into their homes. It's not a small step. And yeah, then we would just film the whole afternoon, like they doing things. Yeah.
That's many hours of film.
Yeah, definitely many hours of films. Yes. And there are also a lot of things that are not in the movie, like I think from all the materials that are not in the movie, you can make another movie. Yes, so there is still a lot that was not used. Yes.
So let's talk about the editing. So just to start, how much did the filming take? How much time did it, like in years, because it's been years, and how much did the editing take? And COVID happened.
Yes.
So for people who don't know you or your protagonists closely, they may have no idea how much time this took to.
Yeah. So so we started. The first interview happened in 2017, and then we properly started filming in 2018, and then we started filming regularly. But of course, again, we are not filming every day, so we are all doing it on a voluntary basis. So whenever we have time, we are possible. Of course, there are periods when we filmed more, when we filmed less. But also the idea was that we would film at least for a year, and we filmed for 2 years. And then in 2020, COVID started, and then I started with the editing. Of course, I already did some editing before. After every filming, you of course check the material, you go through it, look how things look, what is there. So we already do some preparation already before. But in 2020, I really started editing, and then I edited for about 1.5 years full time. And then another year went by, another 1.5 years went by that the movie was really finished. So yeah, the editing, as I said, in documentary making, it's the biggest chunk of work. They also say for 10 minutes of rough cut, which is actually just the first draft of 10 minutes of documentary, takes 1 month full time of editing. So it's really a lot. Yeah. And it's only a rough cut, sorry. And then from a rough cut to go to a clean, it's it's another half a month or a month. Yeah.
Yeah. So I believe that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so I believe that most people who would listen to this who have no experience with this, maybe some people will, but generally I think nobody really knows or understands how much work actually goes into this? I mean, it's you're not a Hollywood studio, so I think you did all of this alone.
Yes, I did it alone, the editing. Yeah, so it's really an enormous amount of work. So you have to also imagine, like, you have all this material. It's not even hours; it's in days of material you have, like what you filmed, and then you start putting it together. And I always compare it to a puzzle where you don't know, you're putting the puzzle together, but you don't know what the picture will be. So every time you put a piece of puzzle in it, you are changing the whole picture, because accordingly you will put the other pieces. But at the moment how you're putting it, you still don't know, like, what will be the picture. You're just like putting it together, and at the end you're so surprised, like, okay, how this fit, and what is the final product. But yeah, it's really a big work, and it's also normal. Like, for example, for other documentaries I've seen, like, you have 2-3 editors working on it. So maybe next time, whoever is watching a documentary, then just watch how many editors are working there. If the editor is different than a director, because then it means that the director is also involved in the editing. So if you have one editor or two, then it means 3 people. Then you have the director, it means 3 people are editing. If you have one editor, then it means 2 people are editing. So, but yeah, here I was the editor and the director myself. So yeah, it was just on me.
Yes, and you were also sitting at home a lot because it was COVID, so.
Yes, and then I did not work, so I also quit my job to be able to edit, because I knew, like you cannot do this just part-time, just in the weekend, otherwise you will be busy with this for 10 years. So
yeah,
I really quit my job, and I was for more than a year full-time editing. Yeah, it's a lot.
yes.
What was funny also, like, after 2 months, I really felt like, oh my God, this is so much. Like, I really was getting a burnout from editing. Yeah, but I also enjoy it very much. But yeah, with the next documentary, if I do again a feature one, I really would like to work next time with an editor. So that we are 2 of us for it.
Yes, and maybe make it less long. I think that's what you told me as well at some point. That
Yeah. And also my next one, my next documentary will be shorter for sure. But yeah, of course in the future I also want to make another long one.
okay.
But
it's just more work.
Yeah. But also then I would really like to work with an editor.
So I think they invented the term labor of love for this. Right? Because you've put in a lot of work for something that's pretty much a hobby in a way.
Yes.
But it's really beautiful, because sometimes I wish more people would do that, because sometimes you get art, and you get from people not always being so fixed on making money, and I mean, sure, you need money to live, but sometimes it gets so commercial, and then, like, how some people do things, and then I really like seeing someone who also, like, really does it something for the purpose of doing it and not for the money. I mean, that's I think it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
There's one more thing you said about editing that I thought was very interesting in our previous preparation, and you used a professional term used in filmmaking, which is called killing your darlings. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yes, of course. So yeah, So when you do the first rough cut, of course, it's longer. So the first draft of the movie is, of course, longer than the final product. And then you just see like what fits, what does not fit there, what you need to take out. And then sometimes you really need to make sacrifices, also taking out scenes or shots that you are kind of emotionally attached to them, but they don't fit really to the movie. And you don't want to take them out, but you somehow feel you need to take them out to make the movie work. And it's really painful to take these shots out. And that's why it's it happens to all filmmakers, not only documentary filmmakers, to feature filmmakers, like Killing Your Darlings. Like, you know it will be better, but you are attached to these scenes or to these shots. So it's painful to take them out, but of course it happens. It needs to happen. So of course it also happened here in this documentary. Yeah, for example, that kind of shot was we shot Monica, one of our protagonists, with her mom. She was visiting her in Amsterdam, and then we interviewed them together. We talked to them on the camera, and I think it was really very nice, very, very. It also showed something about the character of Monica and also of her mom. But yeah, it just did not fit. It was just too much in the movie. And also another person, we realized like, okay, that's another person interviewing, being there, talking. It was just taking away from the story. So at the end, I cut it out, but it was really painful. So that was one of my darlings that needed to go.
Yes, and even the all the stuff that you didn't use that wasn't necessarily a darling, but still you filmed it, and
Yes.
you had to discard so much because you're always stuck with, you know, a certain film length, and you cannot show everything you film. So yeah, it seems like a really difficult process to me.
Yeah, of course. Like there are also many things, like also things that they say or some jokes that they do. And then you want to use it somehow, all the jokes that they say or do or happen during filming. But yeah, if it does not fit, then does not fit. So yeah, it's indeed, it's difficult to sometimes not use these things, but at the end, you know, it's for the product, like the end product should be as good as possible, the best possible.
Yes, so maybe one question about the filming that I said I would tackle later, so let's do it now. I postponed that, but you followed one of your protagonists who called Singh. You followed him around at a marathon or a festival.
Yes.
Because what I'm kind of hinting at here is the reality of making a documentary, everything we don't see, and sometimes you also get like interesting anecdotes or so like it would have been weird, right? Like dancing, but you're also having this guy following you around with a camera, and a woman also following you because she's also the director. So there's this whole team present, and the viewer only gets to see someone dancing in a crowd, but then the actual thing sounds a bit awkward.
Yeah, indeed. So of course, you, in the milonga or in the tango event itself, we wanted to be as discreet as possible. So not only for our protagonist, but for the whole event. And also the organizers of this event said like, okay, we can film, but just not to disrupt too much the flow of the event. But sometimes we needed to go on the dance floor, okay, and then it was, of course, then on the dance floor it was only the cameraman. And I remember one afternoon the dance floor was really full, and Rodolfo was filming Sing, and Sing really didn't like it, like, because the floor was too full, and I saw really on his face. Also, it's possible to see in the filming, like he's looking at the camera, like not happy. But you have just these couple of moments that he's looking not happy. Some of it is, it's really very good shot. So I still use it in the documentary quite a lot. But afterwards he came to me like, Anita, Sing came to me like, Anita, Rodolfo went on the dance floor, he should not do it. I was like, oh, okay. I will tell him. So but it was only once that he was on the dance floor. But indeed, like also like when leaving the milonga, so it's always cameraman and the me behind, and then telling Rodolfo what to do, on what to focus. For example, when Sing is going at 4 o'clock up the hill, he's very tired. Like everyone is laughing how tired he is, and he needs to climb this hill. But we are there with Rodolfo is there with the camera that is heavy, and like he's really tired, so his hands are shaking, and I'm behind with all the stuff, like not only our shoes but also all the lenses of the camera, the tripod. So I have like really like about 10 kilos pulling behind, and really very tired, 4 o'clock. So Sing was actually we were envying Sing going just there with his little bag with
Yeah, sure. You never see that if you watch the movie. That's funny.
Yeah.
Like it's not only thousands of hours of editing, but it's also all these other things that go into all the work that goes into it. So is there anything, some bloopers you can share, something that went wrong during the filming? Or maybe like more sad things that went wrong, like something that wasn't funny, just something that was annoying, or because you told me some examples previously.
Of course, many things like go wrong. Like if you do something for 2-3 years, it would be strange that everything goes as smooth as it should. So we have many things. For example, our hard drive, one of the hard drives broke. So we have we had the material on 2 or 3 hard drives, but one after filming, and we did 2 filmings after each other, like quite fast, we didn't put it on a backup yet. So we had it just on one hard drive, and that hard drive fell and broke. So we lost all the material that was on it, and we could not make a backup yet. So we lost also all the material of the filming. So we needed to refilm that again. So that was quite annoying. But again, like, of course, after when you do something for 2 years, these things happen. But at that time, it was, very, very irritating, very annoying, and also very strange. Then going back to our protagonist, like, oh, sorry, we broke the hard drive. We need to refilm. So, or another thing was we filmed in Bratislava, and then while filming at the Airbnb of one of our protagonists, he was just so much out of his comfort zone. Thing was so much out of his comfort zone that he forgot his keys, so he locked himself out. So again, and we just realized it in the milonga or after the milonga. Now I don't remember anymore. But then at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, we tried to get in. It was really like in the morning. It was not possible to get into the B&B. So at the end, then thing came to our place. So, but yeah, this was not so sad. But at that time, it was also not very funny, indeed.
Yes.
Now we can laugh about it. So now always when we think about it, we do laugh about it. But at that time, it wasn't funny.
Well, it's good that you all kept it up with each other, like you.
That's really indeed very lucky that we had a very good relationship with everyone, like with Rodolfo, with the cameraman, and also with our protagonists. Like we all very nice. We really kept the really nice vibe, and also through these hiccups. There was lots of understanding, and so it was really going well. Yeah.
So my last topic is talking a bit. I think we may have already covered this before, but are there some conclusions maybe after all of this, after the filming, after the editing, after showing it to people? Are there any things you learned about tango or tango addiction that we haven't covered yet? About documentary making?
No, I did not. I could not say that now I'm seeing or watching tango differently than before. Like my perception of tango hasn't changed. So no, I don't have like some new insights to tango. Of course, like the whole experience really enriched me. It was really I'm very happy I did this. It was really very beautiful to do, and I really enjoyed every moment of it, from the beginning, from the preparation to filming to editing, to showing it to the audience. So I would say it more enriched me personally, and of course, like how to do documentaries. Of course, I gain more experience in it. But like to my perception of tango did not change by this movie.
Okay.
But I was also not expecting that it would change. Like no.
So, is there anything we haven't covered yet about the documentary that you want to share? Or did we manage to put in everything that's important?
Yeah, no, I think we kind of managed to cover quite a lot. Of course, like you always have these after such a talk, like
Sure,
in an hour I will think like, that would have been interesting to say. Or why didn't I mention that? I'm sure I will have it for the coming 2 days. But at this moment, no, I don't have anything that I think that is important to say. I think we covered the topic quite nicely in depth. You asked lots of questions, interesting questions, so that was good.
Yes, I enjoyed it very much. And maybe as a last thing, I just want to say, like, are there any screenings planned, or can people contact you if they're interested in having it screened somewhere at an event? Or
yes, so of course anyone can contact me. I'm more than happy to show it to the audience, and it's always a beautiful experience to share my movie with other people. I always receiving such a nice feedback, and it's really gives me lots of energy, motivates me. The upcoming events where it will be shown, it's Bratislava, in the Tango Festival in Bratislava. I'm really looking forward to it. It's my hometown, so it will be for me very special. I'm now working on the Slovak subtitles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for the movie. So yeah, that's also quite lots of big job, translating everything to Slovak and then subtitling it. Of course, also translation is different than just a subtitling translation is different than just normal translation. And it will be screened in a church in the middle of, really in the center of the town. So it's also a very special location. So I think, yeah, I'm very much.
You can be proud. Yeah.
I'm very looking forward to that one. And the next one is also here in Amsterdam, will be shown later on, maybe end of this year, beginning of next year, and also here in Haarlem will be shown. So there are also some upcoming screenings in the Netherlands, and I'm talking with people for in still trying to organize some screenings in other countries like France, Italy, Turkey. So let's see Germany also. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So hopefully also in Berlin. It can be shown.
Yes. Well, thanks a lot for this really interesting conversation. Like I said, it was a really original thing to hear about, and it's like I hope people enjoyed it as much as I did. I think yes, I think it was quite an impressive, just like the documentary itself is quite impressive. I think the way you expressed yourself was also really good and really to the point. And thanks for that. And well, I hope to see you again soon. And
thank you too, Lucas. I also enjoyed it very much. It was a very nice talk. So thank you too for this opportunity to be able to share more details, more background about the movie.
Yes, it's always nice to have like an insider's view of something. And like we talked about so many things that you usually don't see when you watch a movie or when you watch a documentary. Like so much of it is like a hidden world. And it's always nice to shine some light on that.
Yeah, indeed. Yes. No, thank you for this opportunity. I really enjoyed talking to you too. And yeah, hope to see you soon somewhere on the dance floor.
Yes, who knows? See you soon.